Welcome back, everyone. Mariah Monetize here, and we are not done yet because there is still more to talk about in the cryptocurrency space. So if you're not following me yet, head over to Twitter. My hashtag is, or my handle is Mariah Vittoria9. And so I want to go over some very interesting news that we've seen since my previous video. Bitcoin currently sitting at $16,309. We've seen a little bit of a jump of $800 off of the bottom of about 16,500. I think that we may get a little bit of a pump here to about $18,000. I don't know if the bottom is in yet, but we're going to be getting a little bit to that more a bit later once we go over some of this news here. So basically, right after I posted my last video, a Binance spokesperson says FTX had issues beyond our control or ability to help. So with all the information that's currently laid out for us when it comes to this FTX situation, I feel like CZ either he wanted to take down FTX. He wanted FTX to fail. And I think part of the motivation was FTX did something that really pissed him off. We also know that he has equity in FTX, but it kind of seemed like he tried to solve some problems off of Twitter. And then Sam, the CEO of FTX, was not cooperative, didn't agree. And so then it got brought onto Twitter, which completely tanked the price of the FTT token, and ultimately is going to lead to FTX filing for bankruptcy. So I'm not saying this is CZ's fault by any means, but what I'm saying is that he kind of sped up the process probably of when FTX was going to be exposed. He caused a lot of FOMO, which then created a run on the bank. So, there's a huge possibility that CZ never tweets anything. Okay, Bitcoin bottoms in, Q4 of this year, Q1 of next year. And then, the bear market's over, and then Bitcoin starts marching to make new all-time highs, and no one ever knows of what's happening behind the scenes at FTX. But since everything's been exposed, it's caused what we're seeing today in the markets. So this tweet's interesting because there is a possibility that all altcoins are going to be deemed securities, and that is really going to shake up the space. So do not question that. I had a conversation with someone today, and I'm like, I don't give a shit about altcoins, okay? I do not care about them. And this is one of the many reasons why, okay? So what is getting put on the back burner in terms of being in the front of news is that Facebook, Meta, has laid off 11,000 employees. And there's a video that I will show you in a bit of Mark Zuckerberg and what he had to say about the situation. So this might not be over yet. And why is that? Alameda was the biggest fish in the Tether pond. Will Tether survive? Tether Papers. This is exactly who acquires 70% of all USDT ever issued. So this is a problem that we're seeing, is that all of these really massive crypto companies are very interconnected. And when one is exposed, it leads to the exposure of another company, and they're kind of, in a sense, all leaning in each other. It's like a bunch of playing cards leaning on each other, and they're just falling. And so I think that this could potentially just be the beginning, and that more companies will be exposed. This tends to happen in bear markets. Like, as soon as, the prices start going down significantly, most companies, it seems like, no matter how big or small, have a hard time surviving. What's interesting is, I haven't spent this much time in front of a computer in a long time. I spent all my day, just finding out information, and it's exhausting. There is a reason why I choose to not be in front of my computer all day. It has given me a headache. All right. So Binance CEO assures his community of insurance of sufficient funds backing the network by topping its secure asset fund for user at $1 billion, equivalent as a liquidity crisis and acquisition of FTX continues. So we're seeing all these CEOs basically come out and be like, oh, hey, just so you know, like, we're good and your funds are good with us. Trust nobody is what we've learned these last few days. Trust absolutely no one. Another reason why I'm totally not interested in altcoins, I've been saying this for a while. So Solana not only has an on and off switch, but the foundation and the validators can manage your staking funds as they like. The opposite of a decentralized blockchain. Dump it all. That's the unfortunate part of many of these coins. They're just so centralized that it's like, we're just going back to the fiat system. Actually, even with everything that we're seeing, it's like, oh, another super interesting theory that came out was that SAM is basically used by the feds to crash the market. Hey, you never know. Don't trust, verify, said Satoshi Nakamoto. Yeah, you bet. Can't forget that. So let's go to ftx.com because I think that FTX US, I'm going to the website here because someone went to ftx.com, something went wrong. So the site was down for a period of time. And then I also saw something with it basically with the big red banner at the top saying, do not deposit any funds. Let's see here. If you still have access to get on FTX, you need to download all your transactions and take screenshots. So CZ even tweeted, sad day, tried, but tears, crazy. So it's basically speculated 8 billion is the hole in FTX. That's reported by Wall Street Journal. Listen to this. Please listen to this. This is wild.
You said FTX has a responsibility to seriously consider stepping in at the time to save companies. Why did you have that sense of responsibility?
It's not going to be good for anyone long term. If we have real pain, if we have like real blowouts, and it's not fair to customers, and it's not going to be good for regulation. It's not going to be good for anything. And so from a longer term perspective, it's just that was what was important for the ecosystem. Is what was important for customers, and was what was important for people to be able to operate in the ecosystem without being terrified that unknown unknowns were going to blow them up somehow.
Oh, so I understand that, like, even myself, we're putting so much blame and emphasis on Sam, but there are plenty of other bad actors behind the scenes that are probably even more responsible than he is, that deserve to take more of a beating. But unfortunately, he's the face of FTX and he's taking the current beating. But I would say, like, I watched that video and I'm like pretty good, I feel like, at being able to read people that are lying. And I don't actually get that sense from him. Like, I wonder actually how much of this shit show he really understood. Just another tweet here about FTX website being down. So yeah, right after I posted my previous video, it was officially announced that Binance passed on FTX, which is all happened in a very short period of time, unless, you know, maybe they were doing their due diligence even prior to the announcement yesterday. Another thing to keep an eye on is that GBTC is trading to like 8 to 9K per BTC equivalent, which is pretty wild. Just get your funds off exchanges, you guys, you know, like everything, just, it's not worth it. So let's go ahead and see here. Let's take a look here at the price of Bitcoin. We're going to zoom out to the 7-day chart. So, you know, it feels really challenging to, like, I am getting tempted to start putting in some buy orders on Bitcoin, but it feels like catching a falling knife at this point. I think it's likely that we see $10,000 to $12,000. So this is a tip. Okay, the whales do control the cryptocurrency market, is what people need to understand. And they do some just funny things, because this is just, this space is just full of trolls, okay, and degenerates. And it's no coincidence that Bitcoin topped at a cool even $69,000. So when I was adjusting my buy orders today, I was paying like $12,420, $13,420. Okay, I was incorporating $420 into my buy orders, and although you might think that is absurd, okay, it just wouldn't be that surprising. It would not be that surprising. So keep that in mind. So like I said, it feels like catching a falling knife. If I'm waiting for some serious confirmation, I want this green moving average crossing over the red on the weekly chart for confirmation to get back in. And so, I'm probably going to be buying on the way down. I have my first buy order set in the $14,000 range. And I'm going probably all in as the green crosses over the red. So daily chart here on Bitcoin, not too much. It's made a lower low, and then, Bitcoin would have to get above the high of 21,496 to make a higher high on the daily chart. Also, same thing here. These charts really aren't showing us much other than Bitcoin is extremely weak. So if we're looking for some short-term positions, let's take a little bit of a closer look here on the lower level time frames. So I do think we're going to see a little bit of a relief, but you guys don't forget CPI numbers are out tomorrow. We're going to get some more inflation numbers. And before we look here at the 1 hour chart, let me go ahead and back up just a little bit to, oh shoot, what I need to actually do, because I have the CPI numbers on Coinbase here. So Bitcoin really hasn't done all that great on CPI data release dates in the recent times. So take that into consideration. Let's see, back over here to the hourly chart. All right, so we have a green 2 trading above a green 1. But Bitcoin definitely still is very far away from a higher high on the 1 hour chart. 30-minute chart here, Bitcoin bouncing back a little bit from the low that came in at, let's see, 15,525 it appears. And Bitcoin needs to get that above the high of this candle right here, which is 16,998. Let's go and take a look here at the 10-minute chart on Bitcoin. 10-minute chart actually looking good. Bitcoin has made a higher high on the 10-minute. It's pulling back a little bit right here, and we just want to wait to see if there is some continuation. And let's go and take a look here at the 5-minute chart. And Bitcoin is trending upwards on the 5-minute chart. Just needs to hold the low of this candle right here, which is 16,000 even. Today I was keeping a very close eye on the order books, and specifically like on Gemini, because that's where I'm ready to place my buy orders. And there was definitely a lot of thickness in the order book at the $16,000 range. And I actually was spending a lot of time just checking out the 1-minute chart today. And it basically took, let me just go ahead and show this to you. It took Bitcoin 1 hour approximately of hitting 16,000 to finally break from it. Let's see here. Yeah, this is the Coinbase chart. Actually, every exchange was different, which is something else important. So that's what I wanted to show you. Look how different this looks compared to, this is a Gemini chart versus the Coinbase one that I was showing you. Do you see this straight away? This right here is a $16,000 line that Bitcoin spent trying to break below it for a whole and complete hour. So on Gemini, Bitcoin was 16,000, and on Kraken and Coinbase, it was trading like $400 to $500 below that. So that's what happens during a lot of volatility across the exchanges, is that the prices vary a bit. So that is all that I have for you this evening. I know, like for me, it's just, I'm looking at this as a massive buying opportunity, but I know there's a lot of people out there that this is really affecting them very negatively. So I encourage you to hang in there. Remember that this does not change anything fundamentally about Bitcoin. This is so much out of the scope of what Bitcoin was created for. So please hang in there. I wish you the best, and you will get through this. So that is all that I have for you today. As always, go out there and create a portfolio that you love.